War is never confined to borders. Beyond the politics, beyond the headlines, millions of ordinary lives are being reshaped by the Ukraine-Russia conflict. This is not a story of sides, but of human beings, farmers, parents, students, whose worlds have been upended. Let's listen to their voices and understand the unseen cost of war. Meet Anna, a teacher from Kharkiv. In 2021, her biggest worry was grading exams. Today, she shelters in a basement classroom, teaching children via flashlight. "We miss the sound of silence," she says. Over 14 million Ukrainians like Anna have fled their homes. Yet, even in ruins, life persists. Before the war, Alexander's farm exported grain to 12 countries. Now his fields are mined, his silos empty. "The earth remembers war," he says. Ukraine once supplied 10% of the world's wheat. Now global prices surge as farmers like him struggle. Even education adapts. In Lviv, a mother runs a classroom in her garage. "We cannot lose another generation," she says. Ukraine's GDP fell by 30% in 2022, World Bank. 40% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure damaged as of 2023, UN. 60% of Ukrainian children had their education disrupted in 2022, UNICEF. In Moscow, 32-year-old Irina shops for groceries, staring at prices that have doubled since 2022. Her husband, a mechanic, now repairs tanks. "We don't talk about the war," she says. "We just survive." Dmitry, a software engineer, is among the brain drain exodus. "I stayed until my lab's equipment broke," he shares. "No replacements, no future here." Andrei, a 19-year-old student in St. Petersburg, says, "My university banned protest talk. My friend was expelled for tweeting. Freedom, like peace, is on pause." 1.3 million Russians have left the country since 2022. Inflation in Russia hit 11.9% in 2022. Youth migration from Russia spiked by 63%. In Mogadishu, Ayan, a mother of 4, spends 80% of her income on food. "My children ask why dinner is just rice," she says. Ukraine and Russia once supplied 28% of Africa's wheat. Now, 345 million people globally face acute hunger. To fill the gap, Carlos in Brazil burns forests to plant soy. "I know it's wrong," he admits, "but the world demands more." Climate costs rise as war reshapes trade. Even in the West, the pain is real. London food banks report a 35% increase in demand since 2022. In Berlin, 72-year-old Greta hasn't turned on her heater in months. "I wear 3 sweaters," she laughs bitterly. Europe's energy overhaul spiked prices. Natural gas costs rose 60% for households in 2022. In Lagos, Chidi queues 12 hours for fuel. "No light, no work," he says. As nations compete for LNG, developing economies bear the brunt. Japan shuts down offices at 4 p.m. to conserve power. "It's like wartime again," says Hiro, a bank clerk. In Warsaw, 68-year-old Maria shares her tiny apartment with 2 Ukrainian families. "I survived World War II," she says. "Now I help others survive." Over 8 million refugees have fled Ukraine, joining a global displacement crisis of 103 million people. Refugee shelters in Europe are at 92% capacity. Aid workers call it the largest test of compassion in a generation. In Ohio, single father Mark skips meals to afford groceries. Global food prices rose 23% in 2022. In Osaka, car parts factory owner Hiroshi lays off staff due to energy costs. "The war isn't just there," he says. From France to Sri Lanka, unrest grows. The IMF warns the war's economic toll could reach $2.8 trillion by 2029. No nation, no individual is untouched. In 2022, over 20,000 Indian medical students studied in Ukraine. When the first sirens rang, Aisha and her classmates hid in metro stations, their textbooks clutched like shields. "I came here to save lives," she says. "Now I'm just trying to save mine." Back home, they face shattered dreams and an uncertain academic future. No recognition, no roadmap, just limbo. Over 18,000 Indian students were in Ukraine when war broke out. Only a few have been accommodated by Indian universities. Most are still struggling to continue their education. Samuel, an engineering student from Nigeria, recalls being stopped at the Ukraine border. "They told us to wait," he says. "We watched others cross while we stood in the cold for hours." International students faced a different war: racism, exclusion, and abandonment. "We weren't citizens," Samuel says, "but we were humans." Reports from Human Rights Watch and The Guardian detailed racial discrimination faced by African, Indian, and Middle Eastern students during evacuation. Over 76,000 international students studied in Ukraine pre-war. War is not a headline. It's empty plates, cold homes, and silent classrooms. It's the parent you'll never meet, the farmer you'll never thank, the future you'll never see. But in the darkness, there's light. Ordinary people helping strangers rebuild. The question isn't who's impacted, it's what will we do next? Learn more at trusted sources like unhcr.org or wfp.org. If you can, donate to humanitarian groups such as the Red Cross, redcross.org, or Save the Children, savethechildren.org. Share this video to spread awareness. Like and subscribe for more global human stories, and most importantly, engage with truth, not tropes. Every story matters.